Hi there and welcome to the first episode in the Fast Development series. The Fast Development series is about taking a real-world project and highlighting some of the more useful features of that project and detailing how I accomplished them. You won't see the whole project from start to finish, but snippets of the more useful bits. Okay, so the key things we're going to learn in this session is connecting to ODBC data sources, gathering the schema from those sources, and performing a simple connection test. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is create some variables, because I know at the end I'm going to need a summary of the information that I gather. This is to relay that information back to the user for summary purposes. I always comment the code, because it's very, very important, especially considering the customer has requested this code be editable by somebody else. I don't want to leave the guy in the shit, so to speak. Okay, so there are 3 stages to this connection test. The first is going to be the initial connection. So in that case, we're going to need an ODBC connection object. That's very simple to create there. It's just a new ODBC connection. Now I've already pre-populated some variables by this point, but all I'm passing into it is the connection string, which is the destination DSN, and to make sure the password isn't displayed in the text box that shows the connection string, I've separated it out into its own property. Mine is called destination password. I need to finish that off with a semicolon. Okay. And this is the basic error handling here. So we've got a try-catch statement, and we're just simply going to try and open that connection. Right. And in here we're just going to query the different states of that connection. Sorry if you feel like I'm rushing, but that is the point of this series. I'm feeling disappointed. Why do you ask it has to be so fast? It's because I'm under a very, very stressful time constraint. Okay. So if it's open, we can return the signal of all is good. Now I have rehashed this background worker, so the progress percentage doesn't actually return any progress, but it does return a number that defines the error. So open is good, and we're just going to put here connection opened successfully. Continue to download the schema. And there are various other states, but I am, well, what should I do? I'm going to check for closed, just in case the connection opened and then immediately closed. That can happen if you set the database to turn off on last disconnect. Connection cannot be opened. Please check your ODBC settings. And just in case else. You can never go wrong with that. And that's going to return an unfriendly error code, unfortunately, but at least it's something the debugger can work with. By debugger I mean a person, and by person I mean that's probably going to be me. Excellent. Okay, in the catch here we're just going to have an e.cancel equals true, which causes the background worker to cease execution. But not strictly true. Again, do something for myself to see if it ever does error out in this way. Okay, that's our first connection test, and if that is successful, we'll allow the user 2 seconds to soak in information. The connection was successful. Otherwise these messages can go so quick no one ever gets a chance to read them. Although it seems counterproductive to add something to purposely slow the program down. But it adds to the user experience, I feel. Otherwise there'd almost be no point in doing this at all. So now I'm going to gather schema from the database. So this is point 2 of what we're going to learn today. What was that? How did that end up there? Okay, another try-catch statement, and we're going to do a table schema as a data table equals our connection, and there is a method called getSchema, and in that you can put, there are some very, very nice enums here, collection names, there we go. Oh, it's not an enum. How peculiar, it's a shared class. Okay, my mistake. Tables. And we're just going to put the table count in, which is one of our variables from the top up here, if you remember. And all we need to get there is just the row count. And this is just some more sort of error handling here, because if we get no tables back, then there's no real point in doing this import whatsoever. So if it's greater than 0, that's a good sign. I'm just going to put just how many tables were detected. So the user of this piece of software can compare that number to his own expectations, if he has any, of course. Okay, case is less than or equal to 0. That's very bad because there's no tables. And we need tables. And of course at that point we also want to return e.cancel equals true. Okay, and same again. Oh. And again, we're just going to put that out for 2 seconds there. Okay, and the final stage, I am going to gather the views as well because I think they're important in the data import. If the user has any knowledge of databases, they have specified that a technical user will use this program to initially create the import projects. They will likely set up their own views for import. Okay, and my mouse decides it wants to work. Gather the views. Use views. This stage begins like all the others with a try-catch statement. Now we're going to be loading the view schema. It's almost exactly the same code, just with the variables. Keep calling them variables, they're technically properties. Just with the properties changed. We're just going to update the view count, which is another one of our summaries from up above. Count. In fact, I should edit this to use the variable instead. I'm not sure why I'm doing that, to be honest. I'm not sure the science behind it, but it feels better to do that. Case this content is 0. Station test. It's probably best not to do that one, and just have the count. Okay, and then we're going for cases less than or equal to 0. Now this is only going to be a warning because not all databases will have views. I think it's quite important not to limit the user experience to a database that has views. So I'll throw caution away on that one. Zero views detected. This may be by design. And again, any errors, we cancel that. Let me just copy this here. If you wonder the reason why I'm not just wrapping that whole thing in the try-catch statement, it's because it will allow me more control over the 3 stages in the future. These are just quick and dirty error message boxes for the debugging stage, but I will go back and change these to include in the message box title what point in the stage they failed. Okay. And now we simply display our summary. If it's got this far, then everything is green. Just going to do some quick and dirty summary here. Table count. Don't strictly have to use toString, but if you've got option strict on, then you do. What I'm doing here isn't actually allowed in some versions of Visual Studio. I think 2010 is the latest that support, the earliest that supports it. Just trying to line this up nicely. Good, good, good. I know a lot of people use environment.newline to do what I'm doing here, but I find this shorter to type. It doesn't look friendly in the code, I'll admit, but it's a trade-off. Database details, success. I want to find a message to the user. Okay, just to finish off this series, we'll test what we've done. So the edits we made were to the destination database screen. I'm just going to open something called ProspectSoft CRM, which is the database the customer wants me to import into. Username is DBA, password is undisclosed. Okay, we've got connection done successfully, 307 tables detected, 33 views detected, and our summary information.